Okay. Am I recording? Yes. Okay, I'm recording. You guys ready? Yeah? Okay. Okay, so guys, this is Unit 3. Okay? So in Unit 3, we have 2 assignments. Okay? We have the Annotated Bibliography. Okay, and we have Essay 3. Guys, if you're the person that leaves here and you don't remember what I said, and you think you might be confused, I would write this information down. Okay, because I know for a fact as a student that I write every single thing down that my professor says no matter what, and then if I need to reference it, I look at it. If I don't, I don't. Okay, Essay 3 is worth 200 points. Annotated Bibliography is worth 100 points. These 2 assignments are connected. Okay, they're meant to be connected. So, Annotated Bibliography, okay, is the pre-assignment for your paper. But they're both based on the same topic. Okay? The topic is found in the Essay 3 assignment sheet. And that's the sheet I was asking you guys to look at earlier. Okay? So when you go to the Essay 3 assignment sheet, that's where you're going to get your thesis statement from, is those topics there. Right? And remember, I told you guys, don't say like, oh, I'm going to write about corporal punishment just because that's one of the specific topics listed. If you want to talk about teachers in the classroom or coaches punishment, if you want to talk about trauma, if you want to talk about something that's semi-related to these topics, you can, as long as it like ties in. Okay? If you want to talk about like why we should use metal doorknobs instead of plastic, that has nothing to do with this. Does that make sense, guys? Like something that sort of connects. Okay? So, what does annotated and bibliography mean? What is to annotate? Take notes over, right? Okay, what's a bibliography?
Citation.
Like citations, your research sources. So what is this assignment? Based on those words.
Taking notes on citations.
Yeah, notes on your citations, or which are your research, right? Okay, so all you're doing here is you're finding your citations, your research, you're taking notes. I have a very specific formula for it. Most teachers have a very specific formula, and it's probably pretty similar. It will be different in every class. Just so you guys know, if you've never done this before, it's good that you're doing it here because you're going to be doing it in other classes. Okay, they do these in government, they do them in history, they do them in science classes. Okay, they do them all across the board, so this is not just an English thing. Now, essays are more of an English thing, right? This is cross-disciplinary, okay? So, we're going to do this first. This is due next week, okay? So, we got to start working on it now. Are we clear so far? Okay, so there's 2 separate assignment sheets. There's the research topic assignment sheet where you're going to get your topic for the essay. Okay, and then there's the annotated bibliography assignment sheet that tells you what you should be doing for this assignment. Only worry about this for now, okay, because this is going to be based on like what you do here. Okay, so Aiden was asking, hey, what if I work in a group or I work with a partner on this, and by the time we're done, I don't really like the way the thesis is, and maybe I want to change some things, or maybe I want to do something totally different. You can, in between here and here, change what you want to do. You just find new research. You don't have to go back and redo this. This is one grade, separate, okay? For example, right, I was telling this group, I did a bunch of research, and I put a proposal into my professor with my thesis statement and stuff. And he was like, this is great, move forward. Well, as I moved forward, the more research I read and the more stuff I did, I kind of went in a different direction, totally different direction, actually, right? And so now I've just turned in my draft, and we'll see what he says about the direction that I went. It's totally different with different research, right? And that's okay. That's what happens when you start to do research. So just know that that's okay, that's an option. Or if this works out really well for you and you don't have the time to be doing extra research, use it and move on. Okay? Everyone in your group is going to turn in the same annotated bibliography document. Okay? And what I'm going to do is you know, in Aiden's group, I might pick Aiden. Aiden has everyone's name on his document. I'm going to grade it and say, okay, Aiden, now you need to send this information to everyone in your group so they get this feedback. And then, like, basically I'm going to give you guys, this is due on Tuesday, and then the feedback, you should have feedback by, like, Wednesday, Thursday at the very latest, but you should have feedback, like, pretty soon. Then you start working on your essay. Okay? Does that make sense, y'all? All right. So let me show you the sheets. Okay? So notice at the top of this unit, there is an explanation of everything I just said. So if you go in there and you read it, you have this information, you've had this information, it's been there. Okay? So I had you guys already look at the assignment sheet for the essay, so we're going to go into the Annotated Bibliography folder. Okay? So I've moved this sheet in this folder too to make sure that you guys understand that this is the topic that you are writing on. Okay? And for my online students to understand that. So this lecture that I'm giving you right now is recorded from a real class. It's right here. Okay? Even if some of our classmates think it's not a good lecture because it's hard to see me and the screen, which we're having that same problem again right now, but whatever. Okay, so here is the assignment sheet and the example. So if you look, it says assignment sheet and example. So I'm going to click that. Okay. This tells you exactly what to do on this assignment. This is why this assignment is easy to do as a group, because it's very specific as to what you have to do. It's A, B, C, and D. That's it. It's not like, are you a good writer? Well, I don't know if I want you in my group because you might not be a good writer. It's follow directions, A, B, C, D. Okay? So, the very first, I'm going to like draw out the page so you guys can get a visual of what it looks like. Although, at the bottom of this document, there is a visual example, like a student example there. Okay, of what this should look like. So, you need to have your MLA formatting, and I don't really care how you have your names and stuff. You guys can make a group name, you can list all of your names, whatever you want to do on your document, okay? Then you're going to have your creative title, okay? And then you're going to have a colon, and it's going to say an annotated bibliography. Okay, so, and also the last name and page number up here. So, you need to tell me, here's the title of my paper, and this is the annotated bibliography. The idea is that then when you turn in the paper, it has the same title, but it doesn't say this. So I know this is the paper that's associated with the bibliography that you submitted. Okay? So, that's the first thing that you need. Everyone needs this, right? So if you're working as a group, your group's document has this on it at some point before you submit it, okay? Then you're going to have your thesis statement. That's the first thing here. So here's my thesis statement, right? And it follows the model, which as I was walking around, I saw most of you had that going, right? We've got although, okay? I argue, you could say we argue. What's your argument, right? Because blank, blank, and blank. Okay? So this is your counterclaim, this is your claim or your argument, and subclaim 1, subclaim 2, subclaim 3. Okay? The reason you have 4 sources for this essay, and that is written on the essay assignment sheet, okay? Not the annotated bibliography, but the essay, is because you're going to have, I'm going to do this in a different color. We'll see if this pink marker works. You're going to have one source here, one source here, one source here, one source here. So if you're working with other people, each person gets a little piece of the thesis statement that they are responsible to research and find a source to support. Okay? It's like if I say to you, dogs are the best pets because they have waggy tails, are fluffy, and are loyal, whatever, right? Then I've got to find a source that talks about dogs with waggy tails, right? What was the other thing I said? Fluffy. One that talks about them being fluffy, and one that talks about them being loyal, right? Maybe my counterclaim is that dogs walk around in their own pee outside, and they're kind of gross in that way, right? So I'm going to find a source for that that says, yeah, like while they do this, and they're They're kind of dirty, right? There's all these other reasons why they're great. Okay? What's up? Do you have a question?
I was going to ask, this might be going a little far. This is going a little ahead. But will the third essay require a counterclaim paragraph?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, in the third essay, I am going to ask you to write a counterclaim paragraph. It helps you meet the length requirement, right? And it helps us to start practicing really thinking about counterclaims, okay? So that's where this source is important, and that's where this needs to be a counterclaim. It needs to stand on its own, okay? If you think about this, and we've talked about this before, this is one of these from the opposite of your argument, okay? So if someone says dogs are not the best pets, and here are 3 reasons why, you're basically saying, yeah, I acknowledge that they're kind of dirty, right? They go potty outside and then they run around in it. They don't really think about what they're doing, right? Yeah, I can acknowledge that. Does that make sense, guys? Okay? So far, we have our thesis statement. We have our MLA formatting. Okay, this is all on one document. Okay, and then each person is going to find a source or 2 sources. It depends on how many people are in your group, if you have a group or not. Each individual person, okay, outside of group work is required to have 2. Like if you guys are in a group, each of you is not required to have 2, but you need to have 4 on your sheet in total. Okay, no matter how many people are in your group, you gotta have 4. Okay, but if you're working by yourself, you only have to have 2. Does that make sense, guys? Yes.
So 4 sources for the annotated bibliography if it's in a group?
Yes, because you're going to have 4 in your paper. And the whole point of working in a group is that you guys are kind of like going to leave this group and have 4 sources. So you don't have to do extra research. If you're working by yourself, you got to do extra research. Yeah, to get to those 4 sources. Okay? Another thing that I tell students is if you want to put your other sources on the document, if you're working by yourself, you can. And I'll tell you, like, these sources aren't good or these are good or whatever. Just, like, put the citations and I'll assess them for you and give you feedback. Okay? If you want to do that. I highly recommend doing the research all at once. Don't do the research for the annotated bibliography and then go back and be like, well, now I've got to find these other sources. Okay? Do it all at once. Okay, so each person in the group, I'll do this in a different marker. Each person in the group is going to have a citation and an annotation. Okay, that's numbers 3 and 4 on the annotated bibliography instructions. Okay, so you're going to start by pasting your properly formatted citation on the document before you do anything. Before you read it, before you start working on this assignment, paste the citation somewhere. Even if you have a separate document where you're like just putting citations in case you want to use them while you're doing your research, okay, then put it on your document. Grab this first, because I can tell you from my personal and recent experience, the times when I didn't do this and I had to go back and find a citation for something was extremely frustrating. Right? Because I'd already read it, I already gathered some quotes, I'd already done what I needed to do, and now I needed this citation, and I'd forgotten to grab it somehow. Okay? So, this is the citation. I'm going to draw this on this side. Okay, citation. Citation should be double-spaced, as I've illustrated. Hanging indented, as I have illustrated. Okay? Hanging indented means the lines underneath the first line are indented. Okay, they're hanging off. The purpose of this is when you have a works cited page that has multiple citations, they should all be spaced the exact same to where you couldn't tell where each citation started if you didn't have that hanging indent, right? So it just looks like a bunch of lines on the page, but the hanging indent shows you where each citation starts. Okay. If you're working together with a group of people, these need to be in alphabetical order. But I would suggest just give everybody a section where they're working and then at the end reorder what you have. Okay? Alphabetical order is based on the author's last name. And I'm going to try to publish something over the break. So I'm going to write my name here, pretending as if this is an article for me. Okay? So if this article starts with G, the author's last name, and the next one that Rory's working on, the last name starts with, Z, right? Then my work is going to go first, and his work is going to go after mine based on alphabetical order of the last name in the citation. Does that make sense? Okay, don't worry about that until you're about to turn in your assignment, though. Okay, so here's my citation. Guys, the nice thing for you guys is you don't have to go and figure out how to cite stuff. The databases do it for you. They literally, all you have to do is click cite, and there's the citation. It's amazing, okay? So y'all don't have to go on a website and try to figure it out. Okay, so I have my citation. Now I'm going to work on my annotation, okay? You can format your annotation however you want. You can do double space. You can do single space. Okay? And you don't have to indent it or anything. It's up to you. You decide what you think looks prettier. Okay? Different teachers are going to have different requirements for this piece. Okay? So just make sure that you listen when you have another teacher that asks you for this. Even when I was in graduate school, every single teacher had different requirements for how we did this. So it depends. Okay, so you're going to answer the questions A, B, C, and D. Okay, in this annotation. It looks like a paragraph. It's going to look like a paragraph. It's not a paragraph using claim data and warrant. It's A, B, C, and D from the Annotated Bibliography instructions. Okay? All you have to do is read the article and then answer the questions. And the questions are summary questions. They're just a summary, okay? You're not coming to any conclusions. You're not giving me any warrant. You're not explaining anything other than what the article said, okay? And then that explanation of what the article said is not in your paper, because it's with the assumption that I've already read your summary of your articles, and then when you get to the paper, you say, here's my argument, and here's a quote that backs up my argument, and here's why that quote supports my argument, right? Claim data warrant. Okay, that's the paper. This is separate. That's why this assignment is meant to be easy, and it's meant to raise your grade. Okay? So, I got 11 minutes. A, B, C, D. That's it. If you want to physically type A, B, C, and D and then fill in the answers and make it look like a paragraph, that's fine with me. Most of my students don't do that, but if that keeps you on track, I'm totally okay with you doing that. You will not get points off for doing that. Okay? So let me scroll down so I can explain this piece. Okay? So here we are. We have our thesis statement. I know that I'm researching subclaim 2 maybe, right? Just as an example. So subclaim 2 is about how dogs can be trained as service animals. I'm just making stuff up, y'all. Okay? So I've found an article that shows actual academic research about how dogs can be trained as service animals, right? Okay, so now I'm going to fill out this part. I've written A, B, C, and D on my paper. Okay, now I reference this document, okay, the Annotated Bibliography instruction sheet, right? And it says the first question, what's the article about? Give its title, the author's name, and the article's main idea. So I say the article called Dogs in Service was written by Hilary Gallego, and the main idea is that dogs are the best pets to be used as service animals, right? Okay, now I've done A, so I'm going to move to B. B, what's the point of the article? Give a 2 to 3 sentence summary of the entire article. Think about and discuss the kinds of evidence that the author uses to support his or her idea, okay? So this article explains that dogs are the best pets for service animals because they compare, I know it's silly that I'm going with this, but I am. The article has a section on different kinds of pets that could be service animals that are not as useful as dogs, right? Then it talks about different examples of real dogs who have saved people's lives while serving as service animals. Finally, it has a section about qualities of dogs that make them good service animals for people with different kinds of disorders, right? So those are the 3 sections that this article has. Does that make sense, guys? So you're going to give me a summary here. It needs to be 2 to 3 sentences long. That just tells me, like, what is the article doing, like, what section. Usually articles will have sections, so it kind of helps you to, like, build the summary, okay? C, what's the proof? Give at least one quote from the article with an in-text citation that is relevant to your essay's argument or sub-arguments, okay? And then you're going to explain how that quote functions in your essay in 1 sentence. So it just says, this will support subclaim 2 of the thesis statement, okay? Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. This assignment is a research project where you are literally writing as yourself to me. Not like an essay where you're writing in this like academic way, you're not using I, you're not saying you, etc. Okay? In this, think math and science, right? Direct. You're saying, Professor Gallego, here's my thesis statement. Here is my first source. This is why this article, this is what this article is. This is the point. This is the quote I'm going to use, and this is why it matters, right? You're going to be direct. So here, you're going to use a sentence to give the quotation. Don't just paste a quote. And it's going to say, and you might write this down, right? In my essay, I will use the following quote to explain and prove subclaim 2 of the thesis statement. Then you would put a colon. Okay, colon is this thing. Okay, colons say, I just told you I was going to give you something, and here it is after the colon. Okay? So you're going to give me that sentence, you're going to use a colon, and then you're going to give me the quotation. So blah, 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 here's my sentence. Here's the quote. Okay, it needs to have an in-text citation. In-text citations, okay, are the author's last name and the page number. Okay, let me move this over a little bit. Actually, I'll draw it up here. So, when you have an in-text citation, okay, you're going to look at the actual citation. So this article only has one author, and it's Gallego, right? So here's my quote, and then right after the quotation is the author's last name, okay? And I have posted a guide for you guys if there's more than one last name. It tells you exactly what to do. That is posted in the Annotated Bibliography folder, okay? Gallego, and it's on page 81, okay? There's no period on the inside of this quotation marks. It goes at the end of the citation. Okay, make sure, this is where people lose points because they're not following directions, right? Make sure you're paying attention to that, okay? So you give the quote that you're going to use in your essay. Don't pick a yucky quote. Don't pick one that's not good, because when you go to the essay, it doesn't prove your argument. You're going to have to find another one, okay? This is where you look at your group members and you say, like, let's make sure we do this, and you look at each other's work before you turn it in, okay? So I've got my A, my B, my C, and then we've got D, okay? Reflect on the article and its credibility, okay? Notice it says, choose 2 of the following to assess the article's credibility. Should you answer every single bullet point on this assignment sheet? Please don't. You will get points off for not following directions, okay? Choose 2. So typically, if you're going to assess the credibility of an article, you might look at the author, what university they're associated with, and where their degree is from, or what's it in. What's their degree in? Okay? So if I'm writing about service animals, and my degree is in English, I might not be credible. Okay? If I'm writing about a piece of literature, and you see that I'm associated with Harvard, we're just going to say that just to put it out there. We're going to say I'm associated with SMU. That's better, right? More accurate, okay? You see that, and you see that my degree is in English, right? I have a master's degree in English. Then you say, okay, she's probably credible. Does that make sense, guys? You can use this other stuff, though, too. Normally, the article will have a note about the author at the top or the bottom of the article, okay? So, then you're going to say, this article is credible because, that's it. This article is credible because the author has a master's degree in the subject matter of the article, and is associated with SMU. Right? That is what makes it credible. Okay? And then the other thing that you need to note about the credibility is these articles need to be longer than 5 pages. Okay? Articles, wow, spelling is hard. Okay? Articles need to be longer than, not 5 pages. Okay, longer than 5 pages. Longer than. Okay? So make sure that when you're looking for an article, that's like the first credibility check you should do, and I'm going to show you guys this on the screen. Okay? So, at the bottom of this page, that's all you have to do. If you're working by yourself, you do this, and then you space down, you put another citation and another annotation. If you're working as a group, each person puts a citation and an annotation, and then I should see another citation, another annotation, another citation, another annotation. Okay? I'm going to move this so that I can show what I'm looking at on the screen. We'll see if this recording works out or not. It might not. Okay. So, there is the annotated bibliography instructions. Scrolling down is the example. Okay? So, here's an example of what your assignment should look like when you submit it. There's the title, thesis statement. There is the first citation, okay? And then there is their annotation. Notice it looks like a paragraph. It's not. It's just following A, B, C, and D. And if I look at this really quickly, I can easily identify where A, right, B, C, and D are, right? C, oops, I will use the quote. Here's the quote, right? And then D, the article is credible because of this, okay? And then scrolling down, another citation and another annotation. And if you have a group, right, you're going to keep scrolling, another citation, another annotation, until you get to 4. Okay? Does this make sense so far? Okay. So, when you're going to do the research, I hate this computer, must wipe its memory at night. Because I'm like, I wanted to keep my search history here. Okay, so if you're on the Dallas College website, I'm going to show you guys where to get the research and just show you a brief analysis of, dang it, we're going to run out of time, of the research bit. Oops. So I'm sure that there's an easier way to do this than the way that I'm doing it. Okay. But if you go to libraries for Dallas College and you can click databases for more databases, but honestly, Academic Search Complete is my favorite. Okay, do not use opposing viewpoints. Do not. It is not good research. It is not college level research. You guys can do better than that, okay? I'm going to click on Academic Search Complete. If I go in here and I search spanking, okay, as my thing, it's going to pull up a lot of results, okay? 6,188. Right? Make sure that you're looking for that specific subclaim. Okay, so let's look at, well, all these articles look pretty good. Okay. Trying to find one that goes against. Let's try this. This is the one that usually pulls up. Crazy stuff. Okay. So notice this first article. Okay, what do I notice about it? What is it? Is it an academic journal? No, it's a periodical. Some periodicals are okay, depending on where they're published and what it is. This is from a magazine. Magazines are not good sources of research. Okay, they're just not. They're good for information, so once you have your 4 sources, you want to add a magazine in there? Sure, right? But not good for supporting an argument. So what about this next one? Is it an academic journal? Okay, and how many pages is it?
7.
Yeah, it's 7 or 8, right? 7 here, but it says it's 8, which, it's probably the last blank page or whatever added in. Okay, so I'm going to click on this article. This looks good so far, right? say I read this abstract. An abstract is the summary of the article, okay? So you look at it and you say the abstract, like, tells me that this article might be useful for what I'm doing, right? Okay, this is the abstract. Then I can see the author is affiliated with East Carolina University and University of Washington, and these are all of the departments that they're associated with, so that looks good, okay? Now, if I want the article, I'm going to click PDF full text. Okay, so once I click that, the PDF pulls up. Notice, okay, this is page 2 of the PDF. When I make my citation, is it page 2 or page 2033?
2033.
Yes, you use the actual page number. This one down here. Okay? Don't use the page number of the PDF. Now, to cite this, you're going to click over here, cite. And then you're going to scroll to MLA. And there's your citation, and you copy and paste it. Okay? I'm going to show you guys how to copy and paste this. If you have time to listen real quick, I know we're over time, then definitely listen, because this is important, and this is how you get a good grade on this assignment. If you need to go, you can go. I'm recording and I will post it, even if it's not a good recording. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this and click copy. So then I'm going to go to my Microsoft Word document, which I don't even know if this computer has Word. Kyle, I'm using the thing you taught me yesterday. I did it. He taught me how to use a computer, y'all. I'm not even joking. So, okay, when I go to paste this, instead of doing like a Control V, which is what you guys probably are used to doing, okay, by now, hopefully, I'm going to do a right click and do paste options. Notice, when I do this, it pastes it different ways. Sometimes it'll paste with a highlight. You cannot submit it with a highlight over it. What's the difference between this one and this one? Yeah, do you want the italics in this? You guys are like, I don't know, you tell me, you're supposed to know this answer. Yeah, guys, we want the italics, okay? So make sure it pastes with the italics. If not, you know that the name of the journal and the name of the database need to be in italics, okay? Just like when you're talking about the name of a movie or the name of a book, okay? So I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to show you guys how to format this real quick. Paragraph, so you can go back and look at this when you need to. Make sure all these say 0. You're going to put hanging indent, double space, and then click OK. And then what's the only other thing I would need to do here?
Access on.
So we don't have to put an access date anymore. Maybe some teachers require that. I don't. But Times New Roman size 12 font. Right? Yeah, you guys already knew that. It was a little bit of a trick question because it was so obvious. Okay, so let me end this recording. Well, let me show this first and then I'll end it. And then I have to tell you guys a few things.